The Art Beat, a weekly program putting you in touch with artists and arts events from the J.T. and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech University. Welcome to this week's Art Beat on KLZ-KFM. This is Peter Martins, your host, and I am coming to you as always from the Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech, and I have the privilege this week of continuing a conversation. I think this is a first for the show that we are having a two-part series featuring one of our longest-serving faculty members in the entire Texas Tech University. I think there's one faculty member who's got a year or two on him, but this is Richard Meek, bassoon professor in the School of Music. We started our conversation last week, and Richard, some of our listeners, if they heard the show last week, they may have heard you drop the name George Robinson, which of course is the namesake of our local violin shop.
Yes, George started the violin shop. He was principal viola in the Lubbock Symphony for many years.
So
actually, one of the things that Hemley and Deal brought me out here, asked me to come play, because the Lubbock Symphony didn't have a regular bassoon player.
Okay.
Neither did Midland, Odessa. Uh-huh. And to my great surprise, Lara Hoggard, who worked with famous choral societies, was directing down there. He came up and recruited me to play Midland, Odessa. Our local symphony, Bill Harrod, hadn't sought me out yet.
Oh, I see.
The unfortunate thing is they all rehearsed on a Monday.
Oh, at the same time, of course.
So I didn't play the first year or two with Lubbock Symphony.
Oh.
After 2 years, they changed their rehearsal time, and by then I had students playing principal of Lubbock Symphony. I didn't want to take their job away, so I started playing with Lubbock Symphony on violin.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, because I recall from reading something that your father, I think, was a violin maker, and he made one for you.
My grandfather was a violin maker. My dad was a violinist. They started me on violin at age 5 or 6.
Okay.
8th size violin. And Paul Ellsworth, the orchestra, I was his assistant director for a number of years here. We got involved informally in playing chamber music, and we established the Ellsworth String Quartet.
Okay.
And we played for we played up until the late 80s.
Okay.
We kind of disbanded a little bit. Students took over.
As a string quartet then?
We played many recitals and clinics and weddings.
Okay. When your embouchure gets tired from playing bassoon, you just switched over to violin then?
It wasn't quite that way, no. But I do remember when they finished Hemley in the large studio rooms in the basement area off Hemley. That first one we adopted. Paul was in the closet office.
Okay.
Just outside of that was a piano in my office. On the opposite side of the room was the orchestra library.
All in the same space?
All in that one space, which is now the bassoon studio. All the students use. And Paul moved over. He actually tried to get me into one of the new teaching studios on the west side of the building that they had added.
Okay.
I chose to stay.
You said, I like my basements.
Well, I have an unusually large studio with all sorts of materials for bassoon. Among other things, bassoons make their own reeds. So
sure.
I've got all sorts of machine mechanics down there, recording materials, scores, huge library of bassoon music, and we fill that room completely.
Right, and it's a good-sized room, and some of our listeners may not recognize that, if you play trumpet or flute or something like that, I mean, there's a bit of equipment involved, and a trumpet professor maybe has a little drawer of mouthpieces or something, but with double reeds, especially bassoon, it looks like a craftsman's shop from like the 17th century or something like that. I've got
10 machines specially just designed for that, and equipment to analyze from teaching acoustics.
Okay.
For so many years, analyzing. In fact, the last 2 graduate doctoral students we had, their papers were on analytical study of cane and types of reeds and how that affected the air column or tone production on a bassoon.
Sure. So another connection, and I feel like we make this as often as we can on the show, connections between the arts and the sciences and healthcare and all these disciplines that in our modern world seem totally separate. But you need to know a lot about acoustics and physics to sound good on the bassoon.
Well, the harmonic overtone series plays a special prominent in the bassoon. In fact, Van Hosen, the instructor at East Meek at the time, used to smile and ask if we knew where most of the energy was in our tone. What harmonic? We play a low C on the bassoon. The first 8 harmonics takes us through 1, 2, 3 octaves.
Uh-huh.
Where is most of the energy on the overtone structure of the bassoon? On the 7th partial.
Okay.
High. We perceive it low.
Sure.
It's the same thing on your phone. You hear low notes on the phone, but the speaker's far too small to make it sound.
Yeah.
What you're hearing is what we call a difference tone. which
Right.
Walter was really, we had an argument for a while as to, is that a physical manifestation or a mental manifestation? He thought it happened in the brain. I thought it happened in the ears. As a musician, when we toured in Europe, for instance, we always had to make sure our timpanists would retune. If we were playing a piece in D, the timpani would tune to that pitch, that scale, and the next one was going to be on E flat or F, he had to retune the drum heads because they vibrate sympathetically with us. And if they were vibrating a pitch that didn't belong to the tonality we're in, that caused some degree of confusion. So I said, well, this is simply a function of the tympanum. We argued. I came back one Christmas, however, and bless his heart, he had taken headphones and designed it so he could put one pitch in the left ear and one pitch in the right ear.
Okay.
Now, if you put 200 cycles in one ear, if you have 200 cycles and 300 cycles exactly in tune, the ear begins to generate a 100 cycle. That's
Right.
the fundamental.
Because it thinks it's the two pitches are
Well,
overtones
it's
of
like
something
taking,
else.
holding a C on the piano, hitting all the notes but C, that low C starts to vibrate.
Right.
You hear it. So he created the headphones like this. Put one pitch into my left ear, one in my right ear. You don't hear any difference tone at all. But as soon as I take it off my head, remove the headphones so you hear both pitches, there's the difference tone.
Okay. Now,
But I work a lot with that on bassoon because that essentially is what gives us the projection and the real resonance for the instrument.
and the particular timbre, I guess, of the instrument as well.
Yeah,
right?
to get it, but also helping tune your reeds.
Okay. Now, you've been mentioning some kind of physics of sound things that you've been messing with for a long, long time. And you mentioned, I think you referred to retired physics professor Walter Borst. Is that correct?
Dr. Wartenberg.
Okay. And
He was head of physics department for a while.
Right. And you and he co-taught a physics of music or physics of sound class?
He retired. He taught acoustics, and even after he retired, he came back and taught that one course. And I would go and assist. I'd do demonstrations. He would talk about the physics, and I'd talk about the musician's angle. Slightly different descriptions, but the importance of how it functioned. He always got the biggest kick out of this idea. I'd take the bassoon or contrabassoon and play a low note, and he would turn on the computer and do the harmonic analysis, and the fundamental pitch often wasn't there. He got the biggest kick out of the missing fundamental.
Yes. That's a fun kind of acoustics parlor trick, right?
We hear it, but you can't measure it.
Right. Fascinating. And like you say, that's the perceptual quirk that lies behind phone sound production and a lot of other things.
That's what you teach, isn't it? Perceptions.
Yes, that's right.
One of my students is enjoying your class.
Good. Yeah. It's a great area. And I remember Walter Borst's class fondly. I went and visited a few times and contributed a couple of times. But I hope that still exists over in the
It does.
physics
They have a
department.
TA teaching it at the moment.
Okay.
We visited on a couple of occasions.
Great. And as we were saying, another connection between music and some other discipline, right, that we wouldn't think necessarily was having much to do with each other.
Oh, the manufacture of a bassoon is a highly disciplined, exacting craft.
Right. It makes one wonder how they made anything worth playing 400 years ago, right?
Well, it's a different sound we get now. It's a much more resonant sound.
Okay.
Because they are able to control the bore. As one of my colleagues in his doctoral paper explained, a deviation of 1 to 2 thousandths in the slope of the conical bore of the tendon joint, you can feel it. It makes a significant difference. Now consider this: you're doing rosewood or you're using maple to make this. How difficult it would be to create a hole that is 18 inches long with that kind of accuracy.
With perfect cylindrical.
Well, it's not
precision.
cylindrical; it's conical.
Oh, or conical.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about 3/16 of an inch at the opening of the vocal where the reed fits on, and it's a good 1 3/4 inches at the end of the bell.
Oh, okay.
Very slow taper from beginning to end.
And it has to be, I imagine, even, as you're saying, too.
It is and it isn't. And in fact, I had an instrument when Alman Rader made the German bassoon in about 1830. I had one. We were looking at the instruments the other day and couldn't find it. But he had a new kiss system, and the bore is actually conical, but it has chokes in it to help the tuning.
Interesting. Okay. My goodness, there is more to know about the bassoon and its intricacies than I would have I would have even guessed. I did have to play one for a little while, and I will say it was not a simple thing to learn, but it was fun.
What I enjoy particularly on it is it's so complex. It's got a lot of complexities to it compared to the other woodwinds. One of the studies we're doing right now with my recent graduate student, we're trying to do a paper, and I have a number of series exercises learning how to blow it, find the resonance. One of them is, for instance, on a high G, there are 4 or 5 different ways of playing it. High A, 4 or 5 different ways of playing it. And the challenge is, can you play each fingering and make it in tune?
Okay, so different fingerings is what you mean by different ways to play it. Okay.
Yeah, very much different.
Interesting.
So, for instance, in the open to the Henley Hall, I played a Mignoni solo piece for bassoon to open the show. And there's one spot where I have to slur with a very long diminuendo and disappear on a high F sharp. Well, there are 4 different ways of playing it. One of them works perfectly, but it's not the one I would use normally in orchestra.
And if you don't know about it, you just make it hard on yourself.
Well, yeah, the fingerings really help. And the same thing with one of my recent students did the Hindemith piece, and there are a number of times where sometimes something is very, very complicated in upper register fingerings. There are alternatives that make the passage easy.
Interesting. Well, goodness, I want to come back and touch on something you've mentioned just a couple of times, which is your graduates. Having taught as long as you have, you obviously have a lot of students who are out there in the world, teaching and whatever themselves.
Yeah,
playing.
They're dying and retiring right now.
Well,
one of my first students was
that,
a beautiful young lady from Snyder, Texas.
Okay.
Karen Elkins T. was her name. She was homecoming queen at Tech, but one of my first students. Yeah, Dean Killian with the marching band out there let them all out early so they could go vote. Well, she couldn't lose. But she was a delightful and beautiful young lady and sharp. In fact, I sold her my very first instrument to her, and her daughter wrote me this last fall that she'd passed away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
oh, goodness.
And then Mark Rogers, who's made tremendous contributions to bassoon and to the band with all his arrangements for band. Over the years with the publishing company in San Antonio. Mark is now retiring.
Okay,
so
well,
we moved. On the other hand, my recent graduates, I've had recently 5 or 6 students from the Philippines.
Okay.
They're wonderful. I mean, they come here ready to learn, and they make progress. He's graduated, looking for a job now because of his visa. I hope he stays here because he's playing a lot of the orchestras here.
Okay.
And the year before that was Taylor Gamble. He grew up in Arkansas, got his doctorate here. He's now adjunct double reed professor at Angelo State.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
So I've got a number of them over the years who have been out there.
I'm sure you've got former students in lots of institutions, and as you were saying, countries. Do you have some of your former Philippine students back in the Philippines?
One of the doctorates is, in fact, he was a teacher in Philippines, and I've got a number of his students. He got his doctorate here.
Okay.
At the moment, he's back in the Philippines.
Well, goodness, what a rich legacy, and I'm sure we could fill up several more shows of reminiscences and commentary from from Richard Meek on the history of music in Lubbock and the history at Texas Tech.
The growth of Texas Tech has been enormous, not just the physical building, but the market. So this is an interesting story I tell a lot of the young kids. And when I came, it was Texas Technological College. Well, Governor Connolly, shot in the Kennedy melee, of course, decided a little later that we needed to be like California and have a university system.
Okay.
So they've got several systems. We're going to do the same. So we have the A&M system, we have the Texas system, Houston system, and the North Texas system.
Okay.
We were put under A&M.
Originally?
Yes.
Huh. I did not know that.
When it was pointed out to them that the enrollment at A&M was about 6,000, and we were closer to 15 or 16,000 as a college. He said, well, you're not a college, you're a university. So he immediately established the fifth system. That's the Texas Tech. Of course, we feuded for a couple of years whether we were going to become Texas State or Texas Tech.
I've heard about that. Okay.
Yeah.
So we kept the Tech.
But even in terms of growth there again, when Guy Bailey was president here, early 2000s, that was back when I was president. I got to work on his councils with him. He commented,
president of the faculty, right?
Yeah, Guy Bailey was Tech president.
Right, and you were president of the faculty senate.
Faculty senate, right. Yeah. And he made the comment that, he started doing a study of the university. But he said his comment was, we didn't function as a university. We continued to grow college by college by college. And he said, immediately I found $5 million just sitting around as part of the university.
From the lack of kind of a single oversight of the...
Right, and that was what he undertook. That's really what he undertook, was an oversight.
Interesting.
In fact, it was his intention. I remember in the Senate we got a lot of confusion about, why do we give money to athletics? because we always kind of underwrote part of this program academically for them.
Sure.
And it was his intention that we would grow to where athletics was helping academics.
Interesting.
I think he got it moving in the direction I don't think we've gotten there.
That's probably an entirely different conversation, right? For
Yeah.
For the administration of the moment. Well, goodness, let me thank our special guest, Richard Meek. Thank you for sharing all of your thoughts and memories and ideas and details about the double reed and especially bassoon construction. That again, you could probably teach a master class on any day of the week. People show up at your door and you could.
Every Tuesday, 5 o'clock, masterclass. You're welcome to come.
Okay. Excellent. Well, it's great to see you here. It's great to have seen you around during my couple decades here at Texas Tech, and we'll hope you can keep doing it as long as you want to.
We have enjoyed having you here.
Thank you very much. All right. Bye-bye. The Art Beat, a weekly program putting you in touch with artists and arts events from the J.T. and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech University.